Who's there? You again, isn't it? Come closer, traveler. The night is long and the fire is warm. Sit, right there by the crackling wood. You came for another story, didn't you? Very well. Let me take you back to the years when I first wore this old watchman's coat. A time when the roads were mud, horses coughed steam into the night air, and the world was quiet enough for a man to hear his own dread whispering back at him. The painter's tears. Yes, that's the one. Back then, I was sent across the country to a place the locals called Silent Hamlet. A sickness had swept through it. Too many gone. Too many beds left cold. They needed someone to watch the borders, to keep order, to keep calm. So I traveled for weeks, through forests curled like clenched fists, through valleys that swallowed sound, until finally I stepped into that town. The air was wrong there. Not deadly, not foul, just wrong. Every villager I passed avoided meeting my eye. They looked pale, tired, and frightened, but not of the illness. No, their fear felt older, rooted deep in the soil itself. At the time, I told myself it was grief. Loss makes ghosts of the living long before the dead. But later, I realized their fear had another source entirely. On the farthest hill, mute and massive against the sky, stood a stone chateau, broad-shouldered, shadowed, and watching the town like a judge behind his bench. That was the home of the famed painter Maelor Duskbane, a man whose portraits were praised across the region and whispered about even more. Months passed, and the rumors began reaching me in fragments. Those Maelor invited to his chateau, those he painted, some never returned. Others came back, pale, trembling, sick, only to die days later. And the villagers whispered that their souls had been taken, sealed in the canvas, leaving the bodies like lanterns with no flame. Was it superstition? Of course, or so I wanted to believe. One fog-heavy morning, I was ordered to deliver supplies to the chateau, firewood, medicine, and the parcel of fresh fish from Hollowmere. The fish had been caught at dawn, still bright with silver scales. "The painter prefers them," the butcher told me. "Says the spirits in Hollowmere make the meat tender." A joke, perhaps, but nothing sounded like a joke in that place. I climbed the path as wind pushed waves of mist up the hillside. When I reached the gate, the iron bars groaned open on their own. Not fully, just enough for a man to step through. I entered. The courtyard stones glistened with moisture, and near the door stood a man, just standing, facing me, still as carved wood. His eyes, my young friend, his eyes were wrong. Empty, shallow, not dead, no, something worse than dead. It was like looking into a mirror that forgets to reflect you back. He didn't greet me. He didn't blink. He simply looked through me, then slipped past, walking down the path with slow, dragging steps. I felt my ribs tighten, as if cold fingers had slipped between them. Inside, the chateau was warm, too warm. Paintings crowded every wall, their eyes following, watching, judging. And there he was, Maelor Duskbane, tall, thin, wrapped in a deep green coat, brushing long strokes across a canvas with a trembling passion. He greeted me with surprising warmth. "Ah, the Watchman, and you've brought the morning's catch, Hollowmere's finest. Splendid." When he turned toward me fully, I noticed a painting leaning on the far wall. A man, strong posture, calm face, a vibrant glow in his cheeks. I stepped closer. It was him, the man I had just seen outside. But in the painting, he looked alive, brilliantly alive, charisma pouring from each stroke. "Handsome fellow, isn't he?" Maelor said. He was a marvel to paint. "You know, you have a certain strength in your gaze as well. I should capture you someday." I laughed it off, politely. Something in my spine told me not to stay long. I left the supplies. I left the chateau. And I didn't look back. Not even when I felt eyes, someone's eyes, on the back of my neck. As months passed, the sickness worsened. More villagers vanished. Some blamed the plague. Some blamed misfortune. And some whispered that the painter was crying at night. Crying because he could not contain the souls he stole. The rumor called his tears the price of the canvas. I never returned to his chateau, not once. But sometimes, when I think back to that silent hamlet, I remember that man's empty eyes at the gate, and the vibrant version of him trapped in oil and pigment. Who knows, if Maelor had painted me that day, I might be the one wandering empty-eyed through the fog, or worse, hanging forever behind a gilded frame. This tale ends here, traveler. And now you're wondering, aren't you? Was any of it real? Here's the truth. Only part of what I tell is real, and only part of what you hear is a story. Rest is the space in between, the space where shadows choose their shape,